Hello, and welcome to another Driven Catalyst live stream. This is going to be another mic in hand, Diet Coke, chill live stream. I very much liked the vibe. I felt empowered by the vibe yesterday of holding the mic in hand and just doing it like all the podcast girlies that are out having their heyday right now. I love that so much. Um, Today I'm going to do sort of a social commentary because I think it's like really funny the way corporate America works. I say corporate America, it's like the slice of pie I'm looking at, right? I don't know what's going on elsewhere. So I'm really just speaking on my experience. But feel free to recognize this pattern in the world everywhere because I know I sure do. But really, so we are primarily we do stuff for other people, right? It's generally Driven Catalyst makes things and we are making them for other people. So it's interesting when we are the customer, right? Or when other people are doing things for us, which is something that has been um kind of a role reversal that has happened a lot recently, especially because it's the holiday season and so getting together like fun little company things, doing holiday events. We have just like I guess there's been this role reversal quite a bit recently where we are the people being pleased or whatever, you know? And it's like so funny because I feel like that role reversal really highlights the fact that like we are all playing human. This is the game of life and we are all just girlies at a sleepover drafting the text we're going to send in the group chat that we're like a little bit worried about. It's so funny to me that we have built societies based on that foundation. And I think like I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect to like in the same way that I have helped friends draft the first message to send on Tinder, I didn't expect to like jaunt down to my boss's office and be like, "Hey, I just drafted a Slack. Do you want to take a look at it and make sure that we're on the same page before I send it and get other people involved?" That is like, it's so funny. Like, it's the same thing. And I remember thinking growing up, and I don't want anyone to make this too much about whether or not Santa is real or not. I don't think we should entertain that debate in this space, right? But I remember thinking as a kid, like, the most compelling argument in favor of Santa being real is how we couldn't all just pretend. Like, what do you mean? All of these strangers just got together and decided that we were all just gonna fake it and just pretend. There's movies made about the guy. Are you kidding me? Also, it's like and when you're watching a TV show and, like, there's a president, except we all know who the president is generally, at least you know what I mean? Like, we all know who the president is, and so then the president in Hannah Montana is not the president we see on the news every night. Like, Santa in one movie is not Santa in the other movie, is not the Santa I see on the wrapping paper I buy from Costco, right? Um, but still, it's sort of like, but we're all in a we agree. There is Santa. So, obviously, like, I just as a kid, I was like, "There's no way," right? And I would think this about, like, a lot of other things. And what I think is so funny is, like, a huge part of growing up, at least for me, has been like, "Oh, No, no, like, actually, the world is full of examples where everyone just kind of said, "Yes, right? Yes, mhm, yes, that's what we're doing. This is how we're doing it." And, like, a lot of times, it is not for the better. I don't know. This also I don't know how much this connects to this topic at hand, but hearsay is running rampant nowadays, like and I say nowadays, I'm sure it always has been. Again, I, like, speak in caveats and, like, qualifiers because I'm hesitant to believe that human nature has evolved that much with time. Like, I'm sure the same way and the same struggles I'm talking about now were, like, absolutely tearing societies apart in the Middle Ages too. Like, I do think, like, we do learn and progress, but within reason, based on my own observation and experience, slash at a minimum, I am nothing if not a poet, you know? I think there's, like everything is a metaphor or a simile for another struggle, so, like, what was yesterday's bubonic plague is today's I don't know, YouTube spam? Bad example, but you know what I mean? I'm more so musing about the concept, the application, the AB rhyme scheme of life, more so than actually trying to draw a comparison between the bubonic plague and internet spam. Um, but yeah, it's just really, really, really funny. Because then too, I think when you start to open your eyes and notice it and see it, you then also have to, like, recognize it in yourself. So I just had a moment where we were sort of marveling because, again, like, there's a scenario wherein we are the customer, and so people are running it by us because they are concerned with pleasing us, right? But what would please us sometimes would just be for it to get done, right? Like, we just wanna get it done, and, so then the follow-up of, like, "How does this sound? How is this?" is sort of funny, right? So sort of lamenting that vibe, but in crafting a response to be like, "Hey, what did Nike say? Just do it." You know? I am also like, "But, like, let me make sure that we are on the same page about how I should respond to that." So, I'm, like, scampering down the hallway to my boss's office like, "Hey, is this okay for me to say? Should I send this back?" And, basically, the message I'm sending is a product of, "Hey, just get her done," you know? And instead of just getting her done, I did decide to cross check. And it's so funny that everywhere, every day, that is what we're all doing. And we're all probably annoyed with each other for not just doing it. And still, it's the caution feels polite. And so we double check. You know? So funny. Um, and then we don't double check enough and other times, like, I don't know, I'm thinking about allergies, but that feels like a whole other tangent, and honestly, there's not a lot there, so I'm not gonna go on it. But yeah, kind of just that's what's top of mind today. It's so funny too, because like, on the internet, we're all making fun of, like, corporate slang right now, "Circle back," and blah, blah, blah. And, kind of very much the vibe at Driven Catalyst is, like, we'll also poke fun at stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever heard the term bio break but, it exists and it circulates in corporate spaces, and it's my favorite of those things, like circle back and touch base and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's my favorite. There's that wonderful George Carlin set where he talks about, shell shock and post-traumatic stress disorder and sort of the perversion of language and how, with time, words mean less what they were supposed to mean, um, and how that impacts, like, everything. And, again, not to, like, get too in the weeds or whatever, uh, but I was a philosophy minor. And, what always was really fascinating to me was, like, the difference between ideology and praxis, and, kind of very much that is what's happening to language, is there's, like, been this diversion between ideology and praxis, and a lot of people, I think, have a chip on their shoulder about, like, "Hey," and I think we should probably I think that's a good chip to keep on our shoulders of, like, "Hey, that's, like, not what that word doesn't mean that." Um, but, like, if 9,000,000 people on TikTok just decided it's what the word means, kind of it's what the word means, it's almost the opposite of if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? It's like, if we all just decided that the word clout means this and we're going to use it like this, I don't I'm sorry, like, the wrong answer wins. It's kind of like if you take an exam and, the score like, the rubric or whatever, or the answer sheet was wrong, and everyone got that answer wrong anyway, so they all got it right, then, like, you kinda don't want the teacher to decide, "Oh, well, actually, I realized the right answer was B, so everyone just lost 5 points because they got the answer wrong to begin with." Like, that's the right way to handle things, but is it really practical to, like, for everyone's grade to drop? That I think is, like, something we're having to reckon with. Um, and if you give me a couple minutes, I think I can bring it back to Santa. Nope, I got nothing. But, yeah, I guess it's just, very much what I'm dealing with and thinking about today as, we are continuing to move forward and take steps, with different projects. It's just so funny. It's just so funny. Ah! It's funny to be a part of it, though. Like, I very much was, like, running down to my boss's office, and he and I had already talked about how, like, "Oh, come on, like, you don't have to check it, you know? Like, just do it, right?" And so then I was like, "Hey, I know we just talked about, like, how we wish people would just do the thing, but I just wanna make sure that I'm telling them to do the thing in the right way. Like, I wanna double check." So so funny. I guess, like, should I wrap this up? This has, been kind of a reasonable length. I've certainly talked about a lot, though. This has certainly been stream of consciousness tangent. Um, but yeah, definitely, I think begin to look around and interrogate the moments where this is happening in your life, if it's not already happening. Because I have found a lot of joy and freedom in trying to appeal to the humanity of the people around me and trying to do so in in an appropriate way. Because of course, social norms exist and bring comfort to a lot of people. But I like to keep an eye out for people that seem to be also struggling against them in similar ways to me, and then acknowledge it and sort of almost toe dip like, "Hey, we can keep going by the rule book if that works for you, but if not, I'm we don't need to both tread water, and I can see you treading water," You know what I mean? Obviously, treading water feels like a very dramatic example to use, but I love the opportunity to break the ice and to not use bio break language when possible. But then other times, I very much clutch my pearls. I don't know what it is in me, but I am a rule follower and I love rules, and I was raised to believe that they keep us safe. And so the day that I woke up and realized that is not necessarily the case was a rude awakening. But I still very much have times where I'm like, I can't believe that happened, you know? Well, I'll be. So I think navigating both ends of that is so funny. I think that's also very similar to when people talk about like how I think my generation, or at least I don't know, I'll ixnay the generation and just say me and my friends have talked about how like we just know someday we're gonna grow up and like there are gonna be things that exist that are like, whoa, like to us. Um, like we're gonna be kind of like the older people that don't get it someday. And we've tried to like guess like what the way that the world is going to change and evolve and like the things that are going to like make us feel like kind of like left behind or old fashioned about things. And I feel like things have moved really quickly digitally. Um, and that like I have already started kind of to feel old fashioned about certain things. And it's so funny and interesting to me. And I feel like I'm seeing that at like all ages. I feel like actually my guess would be that how fast everything moved with like the digital revolution, technology revolution, we are all kind of at different stages and you can't necessarily intuit being on the same page with your generation anymore the way you used to be. And so we're all kind of having to relearn how to talk to each other and interact and the roles that we play. I think I talked about this like a little bit. I can't remember if I talked about this just with my boss, like chit-chatting, or if I talked about it on a live stream, but how like growing up in schools, there was a period of time where we as students were almost tech support for our teachers. And that kind of was an interesting dynamic because it is like, why would we know more than they did? But a lot of times we were able to like help them unmute on YouTube and stuff like that, you know? And and I feel like we all kind of have different relationships to technology now. And like my grandma talks a lot about how she has some friends that just like can't they don't have cell phones yet, like, yada, yada, you know, she thanks us for, like, helping her stay hip is what she says, you know, because 'cause she's got a Facebook, she's got an iPad, um, yeah, she's slaying. The other day, she went to the beach with my mom, and, my mom took some cute pictures of her, and I was like, "Oh, tell her to post them with the caption, 'It's giving coastal grandma. The world will eat it up.'" Um If you know, you know what I mean? Coastal grandma, for those who don't know, is like an aesthetic, I guess, that the internet has embraced this year. Very much think like just Old Navy, like cozy, casual, stripes are usually involved. Um, wearing like cream colored pants right now. Cream pants, maybe like a sweater, I don't know, like coastal grandma. It's basically think about a Cape Cod grandmother, like beachy, cozy. It's cold, but it's, I don't know. That's like just an aesthetic that has been embraced on the internet. And I was like, oh my God, like people will eat it up. So she posted on Facebook with that caption. And it only occurred to me afterwards that like if I had to explain what it meant to her, kind of like her friends on Facebook too probably won't get it necessarily, but just she seemed very excited and ready to embrace the new thing and, like, thought it was fun that I came up with a caption idea for her, and so she just very quickly and readily embraced it, and she, very generally will, like, she'll struggle with the iPad, and she will feel stupid when I explain to her how to do something and how easy it is, but then I, like, pause because it makes me sad that she'll be like, "Oh, I just can't believe I didn't know," you know? She'll harp on herself about it, but I'll be like, "I literally don't know how I know, though." You know what I mean? Like, this is not hard earned. I just was an iPad baby, I guess, except I wasn't for the most part. I did do a good childhood that was offline in a meaningful way, but I played outside. So, I think it's, like, funny how we all are coming at technology with different levels of experience these days and how it's just a total it's like we're all here, I can bring it back to Santa. We none of us know what the other believes about Santa. Like, I don't know if you know. Like and it's like, "Do you know what the coal means?" Like, "Do you oh my god, get the fire out of the fireplace, like, he has to come, right?" I there's all this, like, additional lore that if you haven't just all unanimously accepted that you leave out milk and cookies, or we would sprinkle out Chex Mix in the yard for the reindeers. Like, there's all these, like, weird miscellaneous things to know that, like, if you don't know, or if you can't just intuit that everyone around you knows, it slows everything down. And so I guess I'm just saying, like, I'm noticing that a lot in, like, the corporate environment in these past few years since graduating college and, like, having a big girl job, and it's so funny to me how it just is everywhere and it's nonstop, and, like, we're all frustrated with it, and, like, I'll hear, like, my bosses will harp on it and complain about it, and then I also will be like, "Yeah, but, like, we all do it," because 'cause I'll recognize it in me, and I'll hear them harp on it and then notice a little bit with peace and love when they do the same thing, or when we're all kind of abiding by the same rules in the same way, and so we're all guilty kind of, like, the same being a cog in the same wheel, or a cog in the same is that right? I think so. Cog in the same wheel. But it's just so funny, and I very much just had a moment like that where it was like, I was frustrated with something and then, like, actually not even a second later was participating in the issue just to make sure that we could keep the ball rolling. Um, and it's just a funny predicament to be in. So, thank you for joining me on this little stream of consciousness, Diet Coke, uh, fueled soapbox moment, social discourse moment. Hope you're having a great Thursday. I cannot believe Christmas is next week. Um, just crazy holiday season altogether. I know it's a busy time for everyone, no matter what you're celebrating. And I hope you can all find time to take a breath and be present. Remember that we're all following these weird unspoken rules. And if you start to feel like freaked out, like, oh my God, am I following them the right way? It's also okay to just be like, hey, I'm actually just trying to do right by you. And by right, do right by the situation. And I know it would be a lot easier and better if I could just intuit it and figure it out, but I'm struggling with that, and, the core of this is just that I wanna do the right thing and be good. Yeah, that's, like, something I've had to remember a lot this week. I had a little mini meltdown about it yesterday, um, and then remembered that, like, one of my best friends is, like, just the straightest shooter ever, and I realized, like, I can actually just talk to her and, like, speak my truth, and she will just speak her truth. I can trust that she's speaking what she thinks, And so then I don't need to stress out about, but what if she thought, and what if we thought, and then what if, you know? And I just had to, like, come down to earth and be like, "Ugh, that was a stupid worry," you know? And I feel like the holiday season is just so chock full of that, of wanting to say the right thing or, like, get the right gift or, like, you know? Um, yeah, I try to catch myself in that sometimes too, uh, like, when you're thinking through, my family does Christmas lists, except we call them Christmas bunny lists. Because at some point, my sister decided that that was, like, that we have the birthday bunny and the Christmas bunny instead of, like, the Easter bunny, and so we've just really rolled with it and embraced it, and I love it. It's really funny and cute. But, like, we send Christmas bunny lists, and so then trying to think through, like, how much of the list to get or, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's always a thing to figure out how much you're gonna spend on each family member. And then wanting to make sure that, like, not one person isn't getting, like, opening way more this is something I've been dealing with. I'll just talk about my own experience, where, like, you wanna make sure that kind of everyone is getting the same value of gift, I guess, and then but then also at least it's something I think about of, like, kind of doesn't matter how the value shakes out either. It's, like, fun to open things, like, the experience of doing Christmas, and, like, each family member having almost, like, the same number of boxes to open is kind of fun. That's kind of at least how we do things in our house. We do things round robin style, and so it's, like, fun to make sure that everyone can, like, it's not just, like, one and done. So thinking through that, but then also, like, wanting to make sure that, like, I'm not just getting someone's Christmas bunny list and then someone else I've, like, written a nice thoughtful card and picked them out something that wasn't on their list, but just really reminded, making sure the right level of intention is there and, like, wanting to make sure that, like, kind of the wealth and love and everything is shared, uh, distributed in a way that makes everyone feel good and happy, you know? I just, like, think about and stress over things like that, and, it's funny to recognize that, like, again, that, like, same impulse of just, like, I just wanna be good and I wanna do it right comes up at work, so, yeah, like, it's just funny that, like, I think you know what I mean? Like, work is such a this is how the economy is running environment, and so everything feels almost universal sometimes where it's like, I assume that, like, my 9 to 5 looks kind of similar to a lot of other people's 9 to 5s, whether we have totally different jobs in totally different places or not. Like, I assume the work stress and the getting through the holiday season and the dealing with these different obstacles and the small talk and, everything, I feel or I imagine it looks pretty similarly to other people. Um, and so it's just funny when, like, such real human impulses are there because I feel like oftentimes there's the habit to sterilize yourself and the vibes and to kind of just be a cog in the wheel, you know? I don't know. Okay, I'm being way too long-winded and I'm gonna cut myself off now. But thank you so much for tuning in. To whoever tunes in the future. We have had a viewership of 0 this whole stream. And by we, I mean me. But yeah, I hope whoever you are, wherever you are, that you're having a great day. I hope you've enjoyed listening to my aimless musings and have a happy holiday season if it's the holiday season when you're watching this. If not, I hope you can find a way to make it feel like the holiday season for yourself. It's a Thursday for me, which is so exciting because that means tomorrow is Friday. And I Fridays are just fun. So, I'll see you tomorrow for Fun Friday, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Thursday and stay safe, enjoy the light and love in your life, and, look for it and spread it to others. And I'm Riley, and you're watching Driven Catalyst.
Dun, dun, dun.